Hey everyone, it's Rebecca Cook, owner of Bexter Imagery and longtime member of Pretty Presets. And I'm here to show you how to edit this photo. So yesterday, the day before yesterday, and I have to apologize because I've been running into some issues with this video recording thing. So I finally figured it out. So I do apologize that it took me so long to get this up. But with that being said, I'm so excited to announce that when we launched the Edit Like a Pro featuring me, I was super excited to get into this and pick some images that I thought were important to share with you guys on how I edit some things. And the reason why I picked this particular image, well, not only because this baby is beautiful, but because of the skin tones and the color cast on the skin. I thought it was really important to show you that, because every single time I take a photo of someone or a session, there's always issues with skin tones and skin problems. So I thought it would be really important to showcase to you guys how to edit utilizing both Lightroom and Photoshop to create a really, really good image and get rid of color cast on skin tones. So, all right, I'm going to start off with, I do want to tell you that I edited this previously, so I'm just going to kind of run through exactly what I did using Pretty Presets both in Lightroom and in Photoshop with actions, and we're just going to jump right in. So for this particular image, I used Pashmina, and the reason why is because I know that this looks really, really harsh and super contrasted and extremely saturated. But Pashmina does wonders for indoor photography. I absolutely love using Pashmina indoor, and especially in the springtime because it is such a beautiful preset to use with all the greens and everything. But indoor, I don't know why it just works so well for me indoor, so I just love it. So anyways, obviously that doesn't look so great. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just going to show you how to adjust a preset after you've applied it to a photo, because let me tell you now, there is no such thing as a one-click edit ever. The best part about editing after you do a shoot and bring it into Lightroom and Photoshop, editing is where the magic happens, and I truly believe that. So when you're applying a preset, you always want to make it your own, even though you have like the tools to get you started. So, all right, let's go back into it. I'm going to go ahead and go over and tell you that these right over here on the right are your sliders. And these are so important for Lightroom users, especially if you're not liking something. All of these sliders to your right are going to be key in your editing in Lightroom. Okay. It's very important. And I use them all the time. I literally am constantly using my sliders. All right, let's jump back in and just go ahead and start. I dropped the contrast to a -22 because obviously the baby is way too contrasted. And I liked that, but still too saturated. So I went down to the vibrance and I brought that down to a -15, which desaturates it and brings down the vibrance a little bit. And then I dropped the saturation to a -13. And then, oh, okay, that's right. So now it's looking a little better, but it's still very, the baby's pretty dull now at this point. So we're going to play with this to bring it back to life and bring it to where we want it to be. So I dropped the highlights all the way to a -100, and I still thought it was too dark. So I played with the contrast a little bit more, and then I settled on a -41 on the contrast. See here, sorry, I'm reading some notes. I brought the clarity down, and the reason why I'm going to bring the clarity down is because we don't want the entire image as a whole to be very textured or very sharp or very detailed, because we want to make the main focus the baby. So I brought down the clarity to a where'd you go? To a -24. And already so much smoother. We can see that the smoothness is really there. And there's still some detail, which is what we want. We want to keep the detail in the baby, but not so much to where it looks too detailed and too crisp for the photo. And then I started to play around with the temperature because this was a little still too on the blue side for me. So I brought the temperature up to 13 here. And then I played with the tint just a little bit because that looks good, but it was still a little on the green cast. So I decided to bring that up to a 13 as well, a little bit more on the magenta side. And I was pretty happy with that. And I still, when I was editing this, I still thought, okay, this looks pretty good. The color looks great, everything. I love that. But it was still a little too dark for my liking. So I just came down here and just played with the exposure a little bit. And then I found out that I really did love 0.19 for the exposure, because it just brought, look at that. It just looks so much better. It just looks so beautiful, very well lit, very, the color is looking great. And so I was pretty happy with how that turned out. I still thought the baby had a little bit too much contrast, so I ended up bringing the contrast down to a -64. That's what I had settled on, and I really like this because you don't want the baby too contrasted, especially when you're working with newborn photography. They have a lot. They have a lot of skin abnormalities, like different skin tones and little hair, and sometimes baby acne. It's not that they're not perfect. It's just that their flaws do show a lot more in photographs when you're photographing newborns. Let me see here. Ooh, my favorite part. I remember when Lightroom updated to the newest Lightroom version, and I will say right now, it was more of an upgrade than a Lightroom update, because they gave us some cool tools, and and it's going to be right over here. It's going to say your masking tool. And I love this because you can add your select subjects, your select sky, your brush, linear and radial gradients. Those are all amazing. I use them all the time. But more specifically, I use the select subject in every photo shoot that I do. And this is why right here. Boom. Okay, it's obviously selected the subject and taken away from the background. It has given us the opportunity just to edit within the subject alone. And that is why I love it, because while you're in this tool, all of your sliders to your right are it's literally only going to edit that particular subject in the photograph. So when I did the select subject here, I ended up bringing down the contrast just a little tiny bit, not too much, because we need a little bit of contrast to show some different skin tones and a little bit of shadowing and stuff like that. I did bring the temp up to an 8 because I wanted the baby to be a little bit more on the warmer side. I wanted the baby to have some good skin tone going on, and I super duper just loved the idea of making the baby just a little tiny bit warmer, not too huge of a difference, but it just enough to make a difference. And then all I did after that was add a little bit of sharpness to just bring out those fine details in the baby, like the eyes and the nose and the little wrinkles on the body. And let's see here. Oh, I did actually bring up, I brought the temperature up, but then I brought it back down. So I do apologize. And because for some reason I can't do a before and after on this one because I had to download the image, I'm going to show you this way instead of doing a side-by-side comparison. So that was what we started out with, and this is what we ended up with, and that's just using Lightroom alone, nothing else. And so I'm just going to go ahead and export this into my folder. I'm going to use a unique name here because like I said, I've edited this a couple times before just to get the right edit. Let me close down this. I know, don't judge me. I need to back up, but I just procrastinate all the time. It's so funny. And of course, Photoshop is a large program, so it takes a little bit of time to run. All right. As you guys can see, I've been playing around with some images already. So let me go ahead and get this open for you. Perfect, perfect. Oh, that baby's just so cute, so beautiful. Okay, so I am going to edit this using obviously pretty presets because I just love them. They have the best stuff ever. So I just want to let you guys know that I own every single pretty presets action set and preset sets. So what I did do is, because I utilize them so often, I made a most used folder on the right hand side of my Photoshop where my actions are. That way I can just get right to it, because if I didn't, then, you know, I would be literally looking all over the place and taking up so much time. So let me just go ahead and scroll down here to my most used presets here. And the first one that I used is I did the pretty center light, and that is going to be in a couple of the collections on the action sets, you guys. And the best part about using Photoshop is that it creates layers, and within those layers they have layer masks where you can take away and add from each layer in particular using a white or black brush. So for those of you who do not know, a white brush is what adds to a photo, and a black brush is what takes away from the photo. It basically erases from that particular layer. But in this case, because this one has the ability to take away or add, we don't need to do that, because this is just the pretty center light. But I just want to drop down that opacity. Oh, that's another thing you can do, is change the opacity on these things, which is awesome. I brought this down to a 15 because I didn't want it too bright, but I just wanted to bring a little bit of brightness to the middle, because I thought it was important just to bring that baby to life just a little bit more. And then let me see here. We used Bye Bye Red. Again, you guys, these are all in the pastel and the retouch and most of the collections, but the Bye Bye Red, the Kick and Magenta. Where'd you go, Kick and Magenta? The Yellow Out, Sayonara Cyan, Kick and Magenta, Instatan, and Oh So Soft Skin and Eye Sparkle are all from the Pretty Retouch collection, the action set. That's perfect for, you know, skin, eyes, lips, makeup. It's actually really cool. There's even some fake eyelashes in there, which are pretty cool. I love to use those sometimes. Okay, so what I did is I just selected every single action set that I wanted to apply to the image. And how I did that, I just held down the control button, and then I just clicked each of the actions individually, and then hit the play button, and that will add the action set to your image. And again, if you don't know how to use Photoshop, I'm not here to actually teach a Photoshop lesson. I'm just showing you how I do my editing. So if you don't know Photoshop, I do highly recommend looking at the tutorials that Pretty Actions and Pretty Presets has on the website, or even taking a Photoshop course online. It will behoove you to do that, because Photoshop is a wonderful program to learn. It's very versatile, and I absolutely recommend learning Photoshop, because as much as I love Lightroom, there's a lot more room to work with while using Photoshop. So with that being said, I'm going to start in with my Bye Bye Red with my white brush, because remember, white adds, and in this case with the Yellow Out, the Bye Bye Red, the Sayonara, Instatan, and Kick and Magenta, these are already the white brush is basically going to take away all this tone cast that we need to get rid of. Instead of erasing them, we're going to apply, because it says Bye Bye Red, it's already going to take away using the white brush. So we're just going to hit the red areas first, because that's the first thing I'm going to notice, and that's the first thing I did notice when working on this photo, was all the red skin cast in the baby. Let's look at this baby, so cute. And then, you know, obviously you're going to hit the spots where those casts are at. And then I'm going to go in with just a little bit of the Kick and Magenta, because I do feel like, you know, sometimes red casts a lot of pink, and we don't want to make the child look lifeless. We want to keep the life color inside of the baby. So we don't want to get rid of it too much, but we need to get rid of it to the point where it looks more natural and even in the skin tone. And and then another thing is you can turn the toggle off. It's the eye. It lets you see what you've done. It's like a little preview. You can turn it off and on and just see what you've done, and then see if you like it, which I do. But again, because the baby is a baby, they do have a lot of uneven skin colorations in their body when they're first born. So I just want to hit this with some Instatan and kind of just run over the areas, like lighter areas where the skin tone looks a little bit uneven. You guys can, you know, change your brushes, the brush size, however big you want. And then the Sayonara Cyan I do use quite a bit, you guys, because people who are more on the fair skin tone side, they do cast a lot of blue through their skin. So what I like to do is I like to just use the Sayonara Cyan to brighten up the skin and then kind of just take away the blue hue that fair skin, you know, gives off. So I'm just gonna just run that over the little body really quick, and I'm just loving that. And then I did see some yellow, like green in his hair or her hair. I don't know if it's a he or a she. So I just kind of ran over this a little bit. It's not going to get rid of this color too much, and that's okay. Just enough to where it looks less green because it was driving me nuts. I mean, and that's a normal thing, you guys. Hair casts color all the time. It's just so funny and crazy how it actually works, especially when you're working in the sunlight. And we're going to hit this with some Oh So Soft Skin and give his baby some softer skin than it already has. And just run it all over the body. Kind of try to avoid the areas where you want them to stay and focus, like the little crinkles and stuff. All right, so now what I'm going to do is eye sparkle. I love this because I use the eye clarity. Oh, so let me tell you a little bit about the eye sparkle. So an eye sparkle, the eye sparkle action is basically an action that has several different layers within the action. So you can open it by just hitting the sideway arrow, sorry, and then just open that up, and then you can use whatever one you want. But in this case, we want to use eye clarity because we want to sharpen up the tiny details and just hit with a very small brush the areas that you want to be in more focus, which are the eyes, the eyes, nose, lips. You can even hit up the little hairs that you want in focus just a little bit more. And I'm going to hit these wrinkles because those little wrinkles are so cute. The fingers. So you want the smoothness of the skin, but you still want those things in more focus. Those are the focus points on the baby. So that's where we're going to leave that. And I just love that. I just love that. So what I'm going to do here is I kind of think that the Oh So Soft Skin was a little high up. So I'm going to bring it down to 50 and I'm happy with that. I'm going to sharpen for print because I use this for literally everything. It's really good for just bringing all the fine details to life right before you flatten your image. Oh, and that is a flattening. That particular action will flatten your image. So before you're ready to flatten the image, make sure you're finished with all of the things that you need to get done, because once you hit that, it's going to flatten your image and you can go back to it, but then you have to like erase all the stuff that you just did with this particular action that flattened the image. And that, let me just scroll in here and see. Okay, let's go ahead and sure. I like that. So now we're going to flatten this image because we need to, right? So you're going to go over here where your layers are, and you're going to hit this button that has the 4 lines on it. And you're just going to scroll down until you see flatten image, and then you're going to hit that. Oh no. Oh, I already did it. Sorry. Well, there it is right there. Flatten image. Boom. And then it flattens your image. And I still really just wanted to mess with this a little tiny bit because I thought it was still a little too light. I wanted to bring a little bit of detail to the baby. So what I ended up doing is I ended up playing with the color balance, and I brought the magenta. I actually brought it a little bit to the green side, to a 5. That's exactly where I put it because I wanted this a little bit more even toned. And then I just played with the blues a little bit, and I also put that to a 5. And then okay, so that where you're going to find that is in this area right here is where all your layers are going to be. It's a fill or adjustment layer. You hit that, and then you just go to color balance, which is a lifesaver in everything you're going to do. I literally use it every single time I edit as well. And then levels, which is I'm going to just play with the shadows just a tiny bit, and I'm going to be over here all the way to my far left, and I'm just going to bring that down to, I think it was a 5. Oh, no, it was a 12. Sorry, it was a 12. And then I think that's all I did. I brought this up just a tiny bit. And then I flattened the image one more time. And that is what we have, you guys. I literally am so happy I got to do this for you guys. And this is like the 3rd time I've made a video. So I'm sorry that it sounds kind of rushed or choppy. I'm just trying to figure out this and get this information to you guys. But if you guys have any questions, please just feel free to comment on the link below, not on the link, but on the post below. I'd be happy to answer any questions and kind of run through it again if you guys need to. If you have any more specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. So thank you guys so much for watching this, and thank you for entering this image into, you know, the contest type of thing. I don't really want to call it a contest, but you know, I don't really want to call it a contest. It's just a learning step. And I do appreciate you guys giving me the chance to do this for you guys and kind of to show you how I edit. I don't normally photograph newborns, but I do a lot of indoor photography when the weather is not good. So thankfully I know how to edit for indoor stuff. And I just want to tell the photographer, whoever did this photograph, beautiful photo. I loved it. The model was perfect and just so cute. And you did a good job photographing this. So round of applause to you. So thanks you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I would love to answer anything that you guys have in mind. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I don't know what the weather's like out there for all of you guys, but stay warm and stay inside if it's too cold. All right, guys, take care. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.